So this is a bit of a different video for me. I don't think I've ever really done an interview before, but here I am with Sean Hurwitz, the guitarist from Smash Mouth and many other bands. How you doing?
Doing good, man. How you going?
How you going, mate? So, first of all, I mean, we got to talk about COVID-19, right? Like, how are you holding up? I guess a lot of your shows have been canceled, and what's happening? Tell me what's happening.
That's a great question. Regarding the shows, yes, they're all done. I had an Australian tour with Smash Mouth. I went into New Zealand, and it's gone. In fact, that tour was with other bands, so I don't believe that's ever gonna, the logistics of putting it all together. I don't think there's any way they're gonna be able to redo the exact same thing. Hopefully, it'll be with some other bands, but I'm really hoping that we get to Australia and New Zealand again. So in general, shows are gone. God knows for how long. We have stuff scheduled for June, July, August, and so on. But who knows if they're going to happen? That's on the touring schedule. But as far as in the studio, I'm just working nonstop. This is what I do.
Yeah, and I want to talk to you about like everything that you do, because I suppose like your most famous role is being the guitarist of Smash Mouth. But tell me what other bands do you play with, and I want to hear about your studio stuff as well.
Sure. I've been with since 2011. I've been with Smash Mouth. But for a year, Mike K came in and played. He produced Magic and played guitar with them as I was touring with other bands. And then I came back to them end of 2012 to end of 2015. And then I started touring with Enrique Iglesias, which was a different kind of, that's a whole different level. Like Smash Mouth is rock and roll and fun and family and just a great time. And Enrique Iglesias is like, oh shit, you're in the big leagues now, man. Let's go and perform in front.
Would you actually classify Enrique Iglesias like in a bigger, higher league than Smash Mouth?
Well, yeah, but it's not. It's just a different style of production. It's not necessarily a matter of who's better. But as far as league, I mean, to give you an idea, just size-wise, when you're touring with Smash Mouth, total of all of us, I think we're 8 people. Band, crew, 8 people.
Wow.
With Enrique, it's closer to 30 people.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
So, I mean, when we went out, to give you an idea what a tour looks like a tour, we went out a couple of times on American tours, North American tours with Pitbull. We did a few of those.
What?
And yeah. And Pitbull and Enrique have been working forever.
Was it you, Enrique Iglesias, and Pitbull?
I played for Enrique, and then Pitbull had his own band.
So you guys, what was Enrique supporting the Pitbull tour, or
not? They were flip flopping, so it was just a double headliner. Yeah, thank you. So sometimes Enrique would start, sometimes Pit would start, but man, the fans of the Latin pop music, they love all of it. So the people that loved Enrique loved Pitbull. The people that loved Pitbull loved Enrique. They were just all there for a great time, a lot of dancing, and a lot of great entertainment. But you asked about size. That tour, 2 bands, that tour, just the crew, bands that were on the road was around between 95 to 100 people.
Oh my God. How do you even logistically, do you have to hire 7 buses or something? This is crazy.
It was, if I'm not mistaken, it was, there were, I want to say 13 buses and 15 full trailers, full, with all the gear.
All the gear. Oh my God.
Yeah. And by the way, those 100 people don't include the local stagehands. So wherever we went, depending on the size, whether it was one of the bigger arenas or one of the smaller arenas, they would hire anywhere between 40 and 80 local guys just to get the gear out of the trucks and onto the stage. So I'm not talking about the guys carrying the gear. I'm talking about the guys setting up the PA, setting up the monitor world.
Yeah.
Setting up. We had a guy that's just is dear friend of mine, Sharpie. His job was to set up. Well, he has a few jobs, but the main one was you're in charge of the wireless for Enrique. Because
And that's it. That was his only job.
Yeah. That well, I mean, he's also monitor engineer assistant, but I mean, that was his main job because there were over 100 wireless units on that tour, and you have to be able to. You can't. It's a huge gig. You can't screw that up.
Logistically, that sounds like a real challenge to put together. Is there like a whole team of tour managers and agents? Like, there must be a whole like team of people working in an office, like figuring out the logistics. Like,
when you would work in when you would walk into the production office, if Pitt and Enrique were sharing a production office for the day, it was usually at least 10 people just handling production. So production managers, production assistants, tour managers. It's insane. I used to be, and we can get into that. I used to be a live sound engineer, so I'm familiar with that whole world. But on that scale, man, hats off. I don't know how they do it. And they made some miracles happen. Like, we were all like, "There's no way we're gonna be this day here," and that there's no way. Like, it happened. The show happened. I mean, fucking hats off for real. You got to respect those guys and ladies. They really know what they're doing.
What's it like being on a tour bus? Like, are the beds comfortable? Like, do you miss your family? Tell me about that.
Man, I love touring.
Do you?
I love touring. It's so much fun. Tour bus. I love tour buses. Don't get me wrong. If we have 3 days off, I want to be in a hotel room.
Right.
I don't want to be stuck on a bus with another 10 people because it gets a little crampy.
Yeah.
But for me, tour buses are very comfortable. I love being on tour buses. I love traveling in tour buses. And the beds are very comfortable. The bunks are very comfortable. Actually, it's so funny. We'll get to this soon, but the way I got to you was through a YouTube situation. And because I've been putting out YouTube content. One of the videos that's coming out, I don't know, in 2 weeks or so, we haven't decided yet, is about, it's your first time on a tour bus. Here's what you need to know.
Okay, cool.
I'll make sure to send it to you.
Yeah, I want to see that. Yeah. Maybe we should talk about that because, I mean, for everyone watching right now, this might seem a little bit left field, and honestly, it is for me as well. But basically, you just kind of reached out to me and thought it'd be fun to jump on a chat. And yeah, like, how did you find me? Like, this is weird.
Well, so my boy DJ Fractal from Enrique Iglesias camp, I was talking to him because I started this YouTube content thing. I really, like yourself, I've done my research on you as well, and I really wanted to just give back. Like, there's all this knowledge that I have. Not that I'm saying I have more than others, but I have all this knowledge, and I'd love to pass it on to the next generation of musicians. You know. And I've been trying it for in a few different ways for a few different years, and it's been kind of rough getting to the right people. So, long story short, and without getting into it, I'm now on YouTube, putting out some hopefully great content. I've been getting really great feedback from people. But the thing is, as you know, you have to find the people that need this. I mean, if I'm putting out a YouTube thing about sidechaining and compression, and I'm sending it to you, What are you going to check it out for? You already know how to do all that stuff, right? But if I'm putting out something about sidechaining and compression, and I find a niche of people that are beginner audio engineers and they aspire to be audio engineers, they'll jump all over it. Like, that's what they need to know.
Yeah.
So I spoke to Fractal because he is a bit younger than me. He's 27 or 28. I think he might be 28. And he's kind of connected. He connected me with Discord. He connected me with...
Right.
He kind of we spoke about Reddit and stuff like that. Anyway, so when we were talking, he was like, "Oh, dude, you got to check. Like, let me send you an invite to this guy Slynk's channel. Like, it's really good production value stuff."
To my Discord server.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And then I'm on there. I'm seeing. I even like. I think if I move this for a second, I think on your Discord server it says, role assignments. And everyone's like Ableton, and everyone gets like assigned to like Ableton, whatever. And I put I'm Cubase and nothing.
I don't know if we have an automatic role set up for Cubase.
I guess not. But basically, I've been kind of following some tutorials that you did and some stuff. And I've only been on your channel for like a week or two. Cool stuff. I mean, really cool. Someone sent out some MIDI pack of some cool stuff. So it's been really cool being with so many producers and aspiring producers.
Yeah, the community is really cool. I really
cool.
Like, everyone's always sharing, doing little challenges and things like that.
It's really
we
cool.
have a good laugh too. Yeah. So it's cool.
And then I saw you post this interview that you did, very similar to this, except you were the interviewee. With Kermode, right?
Yeah.
Am I saying his name right?
That's right, Kermode. Yeah, he's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, seems like a cool guy. So I was like, oh shit. I never even thought about it. Why don't I reach out to this dude and see if he'd be interested in collaborating in one way or another, either doing something like this or anything else really.
And that was music we're recording this on like Friday, and that was like a few days ago. That was a weird morning. I'm like, why is the guitarist from Smash Mouth sending me a message?
It's like, hey, dude, what's going on? So my name is Sean. You don't know me. I'm from Smash Mouth Enrique Iglesias. Anyway.
Yeah, it was crazy. Anyway, cool. Well, I'm glad we can do this. This is great.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You were just talking about Cubase and stuff. Is that your main digital audio workstation in your studio? Tell me about some of the tools you use in your studio.
In the 90s, most people were using Cubase.
Was that the only DAW in the 90s? Like,
the Pro Tools came out at the time, but it was still really, really, it was at the beginning stages of it. It wasn't really, its MIDI manipulation was like,
right.
And Cubase was way, way better. So yeah, Cubase was the way to go back then. And to get to your actual question, Cubase, and then for a certain amount of time, I moved over to Pro Tools 10. Yeah, I want to say Pro Tools 10. And then I was like, yeah, no, I'm just going to go back to Cubase. I'm comfortable with that. I love it. It's got everything I need. So that's what I use here. So I use Cubase 10.5. I'm running an Apollo, Universal Audio Apollo rack unit as my main interface. I'm trying to think what else. We were talking about I got 3 screens.
What kind of monitors do you have in your studio?
The monitors that I have, NS10s.
Is that a Yamaha?
It is. Oh. Wow, it's surprising that you... NS10s are like such a classic in the...
Are they like the ones with the white cones?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean I could pretty classic.
I could turn this around and show you. They're there.
Yeah, those are the ones.
So just they're very MIDI.
Did you have some KRKs back there too?
I did, yeah. My KRKs are the second. So I have some VST6s. And but I really love the NS10s. I know how to work with them. And then I have a few like tiny little speakers, just to like computer speakers just to hear if everything's cool. And then right now I actually been using, I'm not sponsored by any of these guys, but I'm using AudioTechnica's, I forget which model, but I'm really happy with them. Like I
Yeah.
found them somewhere and I was like, damn, sounds pretty good.
I've heard good things about those AudioTechnica headphones. I don't have any myself, but I got some friends that use them for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting how you say like going to Cubase, trying out Logic, and then going back. Pro Tools.
Pro Tools, yeah.
Pro Tools, and then going back to Cubase, and just like sticking with the monitors that you are familiar with, because I think that's really important. You know, like for myself, I'm using like Fostex PM2 MK2s, which are just like ancient. I've had them for at least a decade, and I just think it doesn't matter whatever. There's not a better DAW than the other DAW. There's not a better speaker than the other speaker. It's really just what you're comfortable using. Would you agree with that?
100%. I recently had a guy hit me up on Instagram, and again, I'm all about helping the younger musicians, the ones that are coming up. And he asked me, "Hey man, I thought I'd reach out, and like I like all the stuff that you're posting, and I wondering, I want to take it up from this level to this level, and do I have to spend a lot of money on speakers, and do I have to spend?" I was like, dude, there are kids out there that are 14 that are using some shitty headphones and a laptop from 2008 and creating amazing shit. It's not about the gear necessarily. It's about your ears. So no, you don't have to spend $10,000 on some speakers. Just get speakers that learn the speakers and know how they sound and know how to make up for certain things. And that's all.
That actually reminds me, I don't know if you've heard of the electronic act Cohen Sound. They're like a big UK electronic act. And anyways, I'm on their like Facebook group, and one of the guys from Cohen Sound posted a picture of these like ratty looking, disgusting headphones. And he's like, yeah, I mastered all the Cohen Sound tracks with these shitty headphones.
Yeah.
And they were like, all the padding was gone and they were all just fucked up.
Hey man, again, you have to know how to work your gear. It doesn't have to be state of the art. It's nice to use a $20,000 pair of speakers.
It helps.
But it's not the end all be all. The end all be all is the ears.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
My humble opinion.
So obviously you're not just a guitarist.
No.
There's a lot more to you, and you have a studio, and what do you do? Like, tell me, what do you do? And are you recording other bands? Are you recording your own guitar to send to people? Tell me what you do in your studio.
Yeah. So I came here in 2003 from Israel, and pretty much right away started working at Guitar Center. Do you have any guitar centers in Canada?
I'm not sure, but I'm familiar with Guitar Center.
Familiar with? Okay. I was just curious. So I started working at Guitar Center and worked there for 3.5 years. And right at the beginning in 2007, I was done. And I moved on. I became a full-time musician. Now, part of the full-time musician thing was writing and producing. So I've been writing with other people since 2007. For artists, for TV placements, for commercials, any way to make money from writing and producing music, I was doing it. So I have recorded bands in the past, but really that was more like in Israel. In 2007, from 2007, I've really been my own producer. Even when I write with other people, for the most part, I'm the one producing it.
Yeah.
In 2015, I sold my whole catalog of hundreds of songs. I sold it to an investor and bought some real estate. From about mid 2018, I've been recording again. Now, the process has changed at this point. I'm no longer, for the most part, even though you and I spoke about possibly co-writing some stuff or possibly collaborating, I rarely collaborate. I rarely collaborate. I'll tell you why. Because the business model has changed. Right now, I already have all the connections in the library world. I already have everyone that I'm going to send music to, and I'm always looking and building. I'm looking for more and building the relationships with more libraries for licensing, TV, film, commercials, gaming, all that stuff. So I already have all that in place. So the business model has changed. Instead of me writing a song with someone and producing it and it taking, I don't know, a good 60 hours from beginning to end, these days I make tracks from 5 to 6 hours.
You make a whole song in 5 to 6
Whole
hours.
song. The song that you heard before we started. I mean, mind you, it is not as complex as what you're doing. I'm not looking to reinvent the wheel. I'm creating things for sync, for licensing opportunities.
Yeah, and that's like, for anyone that doesn't know who's watching this, I would say like that's where the real gold mine is as far as the music industry goes. Would you agree with that?
Not as much as it used to be, but yeah, there's still a lot of money to be made there. And technically, what I'm trying to do right now is build my catalog. So in 5 years, 10 years, and so on, I have passive income coming in. So the goal right now, mind you, I haven't actually hit this goal yet, but I've only been writing for a few years again, but my goal is 200 cues a year, 200 instrumental cues.
Can you explain to me what that actually means? Like what a cue is and everything?
Yeah, well, a cue is just the wording for an instrumental. So when I'm writing a cue, let's take, for example, library hit me up, library that I work with called Flick Tracks, and they said, hey, we're looking for these different genres. One of them was light, funky, horns, some elements, they said. And I was like, do you know what? I think I've got the perfect stuff for you. I've got this guy that I work with, Carlos Sosa, and he gave me some horns that he did, and I'd love to create that for you. And they're like, absolutely, go for it.
Cool.
So that's it. So what I do is I basically create a cue, which a cue is a minute and a half to 2.5 minutes of instrumental music that pretty much grows. Like there are different models you can use, but mine is pretty much like it grows. It'll start in a certain element, and then some elements will be added 8 bars later, and 8 bars later another element, and then it breaks down or goes somewhere else for a moment, like the B section, and then it goes back to the A section with some kind of added something, and then it ends on a sting, daga daga down, and usually on a 1. So what I do is a cue is an instrumental that has a lot of edit points. Basically, my job is to make it easy for the editor to say, in some TV show to say, I need something that's funky and going to get me out of my seat. Oh, this sounds good. Let's bring it in real quick. Okay, I could just take it from here, and then, okay, it's time for it to end. Let me just grab the ending, post it here, daga daga down, and moving on to the next scene. So as long as
fully understand. Yeah, it's almost like you're creating like a Lego set and then selling it to a library, and then a guy who's working on a TV show buys your Lego set, licenses it, okay, and then he can rearrange the pieces and make whatever he wants to tailor for the TV show, and it's like very user-friendly almost.
Yeah, and the easier I make it for them, the easier it is for them to use, and they'll just keep using it for more and more stuff, and they'll be like, oh, Sean Hurwitz, that dude, it's the perfect, let's continue to bring him because he makes exactly what we need.
And like, so is every cue that you make kind of confining to a similar formula?
When I create, the formula is the growth. Like right now, for instance, I changed my formula a little. Right now, I start by giving you a taste of what it's going to be like. I give you 80%. Then I'll take it down to 30, 40 to 60. I'll break it down to 20 and come back with 90% and then 100%.
Yeah.
But I'll do it the way it feels. So I'll always work with the song like the way I'm feeling it, but I will try and stay in that formula.
I think I know what you mean. Yeah. You don't want to like write a song a certain way just because it's the formula. You want to like let the song tell you how it's supposed to be written as well. Yeah.
Exactly. I remember I made some EDM cues. Actually, the album that's dropping soon is my electronic stuff. They're not like yours. It's not, and I'll tell you why in a second, why they're not as complex and amazing as yours. I remember I sent this track to one of the companies that I work with, and they're like, this sounds amazing, but can you get to the drums sooner? Because it started with this really cool intro of about 30 seconds, and then the drums come in, 4 on the floor. And they were like, that's cool, but the editor is not going to wait that long. So can you just give us the drums faster? And I was like, sure, no problem. But that kind of gives you an idea. I went with the natural flow of the song. That's what I was feeling. but I also had to take the formula into account, and I have to kind of give them an idea. Yes, this is not a nice intro. This is actually an EDM track.
Yeah.
I've listened to your stuff, and it's incredible. And
Thank you.
the reason why my stuff, sure, you're welcome. The reason why my stuff is not like that is because my stuff goes under dialogue. It goes in the background. It creates an atmosphere. Yeah. Your stuff is the headliner, man. I mean, if I made stuff that sounded like yours, they would say, "Wow, this is great," but it takes the focus away from the scene.
Yeah, I get
you know?
it. Yeah, it's you want the music to complement a TV show or something, not to be like the focus of the show or whatever. Unless
there's also a spot for, okay, this couple walks into a club and what do you know? There's Slynk music just playing along for like 30 seconds while they're dancing. Then they're going to want something like yours that's just going to be like, oh shit. But the stuff that I'm doing is much faster. It's much more, it's to the point. But I want to make sure that whoever's watching this understands that it's still quality, even though I do it fast.
I'm not going to doubt that at all, that it's quality. I mean, I wrote a whole YouTube album. There's 10 songs. I wrote one song a week. It was really hard, but I kind of surprised myself. I was like, oh, I can actually write music quite quickly. And, you know,
it's possible.
Probably like more experienced than I am as a writer.
In certain things, for this genre or for this style, for this formula kind of stuff, yeah, probably.
So,
but
getting back to your goal is to write 200 of these per year. Is that what the goal was?
Yeah, haven't hit it yet, but it's about 4 a week. And that's easy when you're home and you're not doing anything else. But
a week.
Yeah.
4 like 1.5 minute songs, like background TV show type songs that are quality.
Yeah, quality and mind you, I'm not just putting out crap out there. It's quality and it's emotion, meaning when you hear my track, if I tell you that this is for TV, you'll be like, oh, I get it. This is like, I can visualize that perfectly in this scene. I get it.
Yeah. So you can always see the TV show that this song is supposed to go with.
Like, not only that, many times I will turn on, like if I'm not sure what to do today, I'll turn on some TV show and I'll just watch it real quick. And then I'll be like, oh, there's that scene right there. I really like that. So I'll get inspired. Yeah. And next thing you know, it's 5 or 6 hours later. I've got it mastered. I've got my main mix. I've got my bass and drums mix. I've got my sting mix. I've got my 30-second mix. I've got the no lead. I've got all my mixes done. It's in my software Composer Catalog. Give Keith a shout out. Composer Catalog is amazing for that stuff. I put everything in there. And that's it. I'm ready for the next one.
Wow. And those different mixes you were just talking about, they're like different options for the editor of the TV show to choose from.
Yes. So literally just before we did this, one of the companies that I work with sent me, hey man, there's like 30 seconds of your music in this scene. Like they sent me, it's a promo thing. So it's running all the time on TV. So I should see good money from that in like 8 months to a year.
Yeah.
But they sent it to me and I was like, I don't recognize it. And he said, it's because it's the bass and drums mix. For every song that I do, for every cue that I do, they're going to want a bass and drums mix. Just in case that fits really well. They don't want all the piano. They don't want the keys. They don't want the DJ stuff. They just want the bass and drums.
Or the drum and bass.
Yeah. Well... The reason why we call it bass and drums is because drum and bass, you could think it's something else.
That's so crazy. So this is all work that isn't really in the spotlight. People probably hear work like yours, or maybe even your work, all the time when they're watching TV and Netflix and stuff like that. But they're not exactly thinking, oh, that's a so-and-so song and so-and-so composed this. You're really like not the star at all. The function of this music that has to be created and licensed is there, and people are willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
So some of these sync deals and stuff that you've had in the past, like, is there any TV shows that like I might have seen that you have some music in? Game of Thrones or something?
I don't think so. Because Game of Thrones is more like they have their composers that work for them.
Oh, like in-house.
I think. Yeah, in-house. That exists as well. But I've been all over So You Think You Can Dance and a bunch of dance stuff.
Cool.
I'm kind of blanking. I was actually watching this show on Netflix, Selling Sunset, for ideas. Like my wife told me, oh, they have really good music. You should check it out. And sure enough, I'm watching the first episode and 2 of the songs are mine.
No way.
I was like, that sounds super familiar.
No way. It sounds like your wife has good taste.
Yeah, I hope so.
She's like, they had some good music on there. It turns out to be yours.
Yeah. But they actually had really good music on there. So
I got some more questions about this because I find this personally really interesting. As someone who has like never really done a sync deal, the closest I've come to that is, Google reaching out to me and asking me to write music for their YouTube audio library, which is cool.
which is great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But as far as like TV shows and movies and stuff like that, I've never had anything quite on that scale. So I'm curious, like, how did you kind of get started with this sort of stuff? It must be weird sitting down and writing music without having a buyer lined up or something like that. And that sort of seems to be what you're doing.
No, I have buyers lined up because I already have those relationships.
Right.
I know exactly where the music is going to go. The other day, I got hired to write 5 dramedy cues. You know what dramedy is? It's
Drama comedy?
No, yeah, exactly. That's all it is. Usually about some stupid situations, but dramatic. So,
Yeah.
the rich people are fighting, whatever it is. So like you'll have a pizzicato going ba ba bum 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 ba ba bum bum ba ba bum bum. Like you'll have these different elements,
Yeah,
right?
I can totally hear it.
I got hired to do these 5 dramedy light country because I have a banjo and a dobro and a mandolin, and I've done country before, so they hired me to do this light country dramedy. One of the cues that I wrote, the last one that I wrote for that, sounds like it's Greek, and I called it Greek comedy. It totally came out by mistake, sounding like it belongs not in a light country thing, but in a Greek dramedy thing.
Okay.
So it's very niche. Now, for that one, I don't know yet who I'm going to give it to or who I'm going to sell it to. I just don't know. But for the most part, when I'm making things, I know where they're going to go. Like the funk thing, I know that it's going to Flick Tracks. The 5 songs that I got hired to do, I know they're going to Pink Shark Music, another library that I work with. And if I don't know, because I make quality stuff, I know that I have any one of like 20 different libraries that would be happy to take it off my hands if I'm looking to give them stuff to place.
Right. And you already have like a reputation of like writing stuff. Yeah.
So you asked how I got into it.
Yeah. How did you get started with
2007, I actually rented a house from this mixing engineer who ended up connecting me to the owner of Pink Shark Music, which is another Israeli woman called Renata Arinos. And she's a friend of mine. And I wrote for years and years. I wrote with her for artists, to pitch to artists, for TV and film. And she owns a library, Pink Shark Music. And I kind of started with her. And then it grew and grew and grew. And yeah.
I imagine that she would have been kind of showing you the ropes and
took me under her wing. Yeah, for sure.
Just like
for
giving
sure.
you advice and kind of helping you out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So to follow on from that, I guess, like, do you have any advice for people that want to get started with this kind of?
The simple answer is there's a lot of different ways, and it really depends on your end goal. The longer answer is, or the different answer is, I'm actually creating a masterclass for YouTube for that right now. So
Right. Cool.
That's what I'm working on right now. Because so many people want to know, and I want to give that information, but dude, I've sat down with 5 people so far on Reddit, and I'll get on a phone with them. I'll get like on Skype or a Zoom, and it's like every person I spend a half an hour, 45 minutes explaining it to them because I love talking about it. But if I could just put something out there so they could just pay something and then they can watch it on their own time, that would be so much better.
Yeah. I feel that. That's why I make YouTube tutorials myself. I imagine like getting into this kind of sync sort of stuff, well, obviously you have to be a good writer and a good producer. You were talking a lot about relationships and stuff like that. Do you think it's kind of like who you know, not what you know, or?
I would say that in my life, who you know was definitely a big factor. But I also have to say that you need to be ready. And I'll give you an example. Randy Cook, the guy that's playing drums right now, a dear friend of mine, a Canadian, again, an amazing drummer. He called me up, what are you doing for the next 3 weeks? And I said, what's up? What do you need? Because when Randy calls, I'm available. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love that. I love that dude. So he said, okay, well, we have a tour starting in 5 or 6 days, something like that, in Iraq and Kuwait for 2.5 weeks. Iraq and Kuwait. Let me repeat that. Iraq and Kuwait.
Oh my God.
Insane. They were like, for whatever reason, Greg, the original Smash Mouth guitarist, the guy that wrote all those hits, he is not going. None of my business, but they needed a guitarist. Could I do it? I said, yeah, I could do it. But here's the thing. You need to be able to deliver. So yes, it's about who you know. Without knowing Randy, I wouldn't have got the opportunity to do this.
Yeah.
But I had to be able to deliver. So I had to learn an hour and a half worth of material in 3 days.
The drummer from Smash Mouth calls you up, and then 6 days later, you're on a 3.5 week tour with Smash Mouth after learning all the parts that you're supposed to.
I learned 23 songs in 3 days. On the 4th day, I ran it with Randy to make sure that I got all the little nuances, how we start this, then he says that, then you start this song. I wanted to make sure that I got all that. Next day, the 5th day, we flew up to San Jose to get together with the guys and do a rehearsal. And the rehearsal, they played 5 songs and are like, dude, you're great. You got it. Let's go eat. Okay. You sure? Okay. I mean, I feel ready, but I feel like we should also run it as a band, but sure. But they were super stoked. They were like, dude, you're playing everything perfect. You obviously have done your homework. Let's go grab some food and drink. That was it. The next day I was on a flight. We were all on a flight to Iraq and Kuwait.
That's crazy, dude. Yeah, so you really got to
rock and roll life.
Yeah, you really got to just be willing to drop everything and go for an opportunity when it arises.
You need to put in the work so when you know the right people, you can do the work. Because it kind of reminds me of like sometimes people want to send me songs and I say to them, are you ready to send it to me? Because imagine that I was going to listen to one song of yours. You're either going to blow me away like Slynk did with his music, or you're not going to blow me away at all. So it's up to you. Are you ready to send me that music? Many times you're going to get one opportunity. That's it. When I started playing for Enrique, I got one opportunity. I had a week with him, 3 shows in Europe. He was either going to take me or he wasn't. I went in and he was happy with me, and that's it. And I worked with him for 4 years until last year.
That's amazing. So with all of these opportunities that arose and you had like one chance and you nailed it, there must have been some opportunities that you totally fucked up.
Oh, 100%.
Would you say there's like way more opportunities that you fucked up compared to?
Of course. I mean, listen, I've auditioned for Avril Lavigne. I've auditioned for Daughtry. I've auditioned for countless of bands. I didn't play with them because I didn't get the gig. You don't get every gig, and you don't always do the perfect job. All you can do is the best that you can do. That's it.
Yeah. And I guess like it depends on the artist as well, whether they gel with you and you gel with them. Sometimes Absolutely. It just might not be a match made in heaven. It could just be, there's no chemistry there or something. I think it's really important to remind people that are watching and just remind myself as well that you look at these famous people and you only see the successes and you don't see the vast laundry list of failures that go along with that. Not to say that failures are bad. It's a necessity almost to fail a bunch before you can succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how you learn. Perfect example. 4 years into being here, I'm a full-time musician. I'm playing with this band in a genre that I'm not really familiar with, R&B. It's not my forte. And I went to rehearsal, and I was the only guy that was ill-prepared. I was not ready the way I should be ready. I spent the whole ride home. I was so disappointed with myself, man. I was so disappointed. The whole ride home, all you see is, if you look at me from another car, you see this guy yelling in a car. and not yelling at a phone. This was like before everyone had those. How dare you walk into that rehearsal with not being 100% ready. Like I was pissed at myself. And since then, I will not show up to something if I'm not prepared.
But when I first started DJing, I remember playing, like I was playing a show. I was just playing at this little cafe thing. It was like my first DJ gig that I ever had. And I remember just playing, and then my laptop just turned itself off. The music stopped. Everyone looked at me. The owner came over. What the hell's going on, dude? And I was like, I don't know, man. Like my laptop just turned off. I don't know what the hell's going on. I turned the laptop back on. I started DJing again. The laptop turned itself off again. Oh. And the owner came over and he's like, look, dude, just go home. I'm going to put the iPod on. And I was so pissed off. I was so mad at myself and the technology and why wasn't it working. I went out the back. I kicked this wall really hard and broke my toe.
No!
Yeah. I have like x-rays of like broken toe. And from then, always being like really diligent with maintaining and updating my software and just making sure my computer is running smoothly and just everything like that. You know, like you were saying, being really, really prepared.
You have to know how that feels. Like it can't always be a bed of roses. You have to know how this stuff feels in order to be better.
For sure. You got a lot of guitars. I can see like a bunch of guitars, but how many guitars do you have? Like, do you play every instrument that exists? What's going on here?
I have, far from it, man. I have about 23 instruments here. I have a banjo, I have a mandolin, I have a ukulele, I have a bunch of acoustics, I have a bunch of electrics, I have a dobro. You know what a dobro is?
No, but I've heard that before.
I'm not sure how the mechanism, it's a resonator, also called a resonator. So it's very
like a bluesy sort of guitar.
It's bluesy country.
Bluesy country. Yeah, I've seen those. Like those. That's an interesting looking mechanism for sure.
Yeah, and a banjo is like a drum head.
Yeah.
So
yes.
So I have classical guitars. I have acoustic guitars. You know what I don't have? I got to get again a 12-string.
Ooh,
12 string. Yeah, and I sold my Les Paul a long time ago, and I never needed to get another one, but I do need another one.
Do you have a favorite guitar then? Or like, do you have the first guitar that you ever owned? Or
No, I don't have the first guitar that I ever owned because I sold it when I came from Israel. But this Fender Stratocaster, it used to be single. So this is a single this is a single, and this is a humbucker where there are two together.
Okay.
And it used to be three of these. And then I put this one in, and this was a black and white. And then I put this pickguard in, like if you can see, like
it's like a little kind of vibe.
Yeah, and put in some newer locking mechanism for the strings. This actually, I came here with one guitar and one amplifier and some clothes, and this was that guitar.
Awesome.
And then my favorite guitar. I work with a buddy of mine makes these amazing guitars. It's Shabbat Guitars.
Wow.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful guitar. Oh, here, 3 single coils. And I mean, this one is just beat to shit.
Yeah.
And this was the one that I played on stage with Enrique Iglesias, and I used every day here. And then the red one that you see there.
Yeah.
This is like one of my main Smash Mouth. This is my E-flat guitar for Smash Mouth. And I have another black one that's in a case right now, but that's my E guitar, so it's just tuned differently. And then I have a whole bunch of other ones that sound different, but those are the ones that I enjoy the most because, dude, I play hard. These things take a beating, and they are just, I can take them all over the world. They don't even budge, man. If you take a guitar that you bought for $200 and you want to go tour with it around the world, guess what? Your laptop is going to shut down in the middle of the show. You know, you're going to play one song and it's going to be out of tune, or you're going to break strings every other song. I need a guitar that is going to be solid, man. I want to get on stage and perform and give it everything I can and not worry about having to tune all the time and not worrying about having to change strings all the time and things breaking. So one of the reasons I love these guitars is just, they're just solid, man. They're just so good.
I mean, that turquoise guitar back there,
Yeah.
Looks like you dropped down some stairs or something, dude.
That's my favorite. I remember one of my guitar techs years ago who was honest with me. He's like, man, I nicked your guitar. And I was like, I don't give a shit about that. Like for me, all those little pieces that are missing is like character. I love when a guitar gets a little banged up.
Yeah.
Actually, one of my favorite guitars is an Australian company,
Hey.
Maton. You familiar with them?
I'm not.
Well, you're not a guitarist. So that makes sense. I remember when I first went to Australia with Smash Mouth, like I think 2013, they were like, hey, can you guys come do a news show? And we're like, yeah, but we don't have any acoustic guitars. So they brought me 2 acoustic guitars. One of them was a Maton. And I was like, Maton, what is that, a ripoff of Martin? Martin, for those of you who don't know, is a very, 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 very famous guitar company. I was like, Maton? Come on, that's what you're bringing me? Bring me the real deal.
Yeah.
And then I played it, and I was like, oh, Maton, for real? It's like, wow, this thing is amazing.
Okay.
So years later, when I was looking for a new company, actually for Enrique, I reached out to them and I was like, hey guys, I love your, like I remember playing it. It was amazing. I love your stuff. Do you think maybe we could work something out? And they were like, yeah, absolutely. And I've had it since. It is an incredible guitar.
Is that a semi-acoustic?
Yeah, I mean, you can plug it in.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Right on.
Actually, yeah, there we go. Yeah, their preamp is proprietary, and
Oh.
it just sounds incredible. Just sounds incredible.
I'm not a guitarist at all.
But you're a keyboard player. Like, where did you learn to play?
Well, I did some piano lessons when I was a kid, and in high school, I definitely tried out some guitars, but I kind of fumble my way. I probably am not giving myself enough credit, but I'm not really a musician that performs. I kind of like tinker and turn dials and stuff in the software and then stuff like that.
I get it.
You know, like I kind of always thought it would be great to learn guitar myself because I often get my friends to play like funky guitar for some of my songs. And I just think it'd be great if I just had a guitar over there that I could just pick up and start playing. You know, do you think I'm 33. Is it too late for me to learn guitar?
No, not at all. I've heard your tracks. Some of those guitars sound awesome. Like most of the guitars sound really great. It depends on what level you want to get to and how fast. But no, it's not too late. Not at all. But I was going to ask you, this may be boring for your viewers, but
Okay.
when you're recording a track and there's an amazing singer there, is it something that's being recorded for you? Are the guitars being recorded for you? Are the horns being recorded for you? Or are you sampling things?
In my songs, yeah, I try to use, like, sometimes I use samples for sure, like from sample packs. But as far as like guitars go, I try to hit up my friends and pay them to record guitars for me. And they'll just record it and then send it to me. And then usually the recording is dry. And then I'll sort of like process it and cut it up and warp it so that it's like perfectly in time. As far as vocals go, like I have worked with a couple of rappers and singers and stuff. And yeah, it's a similar idea where they will record their vocals and send it to me and then I'll process it. So, I mean, that's just out of necessity. Like if we all lived in the same city and had unlimited money and could fly everywhere, like I would just get all my friends in here and we would write a song together, you know? But that being said, like I've recorded some trumpet. My buddy upstairs is also a producer and he was working with a trumpet player. And I was like, yo, come down here and play some trumpet on my track too. And we just recorded it on this mic in this room without anything too fancy going on. It sounds great.
Honestly, the only instrument that I play really is guitar. I mean, I kind of tinker on keys, obviously, but guitar, bass, but I'm a guitarist first and foremost.
So like if I was going to get into guitar,
Yeah.
Start learning, I'll watch some YouTube tutorials, I'll learn the chords and stuff. I obviously need a guitar.
Right.
What kind of guitar would you recommend? Should I get an acoustic guitar to start with? or just go for the electric? Because I feel like I want to play electric guitar, maybe. Like, I don't know, maybe, you know?
Well, okay. Here's a very, again, you have to look at the end goal here. If you want to be able to play all the guitars, you have to start with an acoustic. And the reason is playing an electric is very easy. I mean, I'm sure you've heard guitarists complain, like beginning guitarists complain about their fingers hurting, right?
Yeah.
Sound familiar? So, yeah, your fingers are going to hurt. Now, if you play an electric guitar, they're going to hurt a lot less because it's a lot easier to press. But when you try to pick up an acoustic, good luck, because you're going to be pressing just as hard as you were pressing on the electric, and it's going to sound like this. Instead of, in Israel, I don't know if it's tuned, not really, you would get a classical guitar. So acoustic, but nylon string. And the reason you would get this is because it's a lot easier. I remember I tuned it differently. Anyway, it's a lot easier to press on these. So you have to press hard, but they're not as painful for your fingers. And in the meantime, you build calluses. And then when you go to a steel string acoustic or an electric guitar, it's a lot easier to play.
I guess like the thicker the string, the more durable it is, right?
No.
No?
No.
That's surprising.
No.
I thought for sure, like if you get light strings, you're just going to be snapping them all the time.
Depends how hard you play. Yes, if you're going to play very hard, I would suggest going for a thicker gauge because, yeah, you're going to be snapping them. But no, you get a lot of thick gauges, you know, take a crap on you in the middle of a show or in the middle of rehearsal or while you're recording.
That kind of brings me back to the stage when you just said that. Like, what do you do when, like, you're in the middle of a song, you're on stage, there's, I don't know how big your shows are, like 1 million people watching you.
That's usually how big it is. Yeah, 1 million people.
1 million people. And you break a string. What do you do? Like, how do you deal with that?
You have to be able to wing it in the moment. So it really depends where you are. If you're in a part where you're about to go into a solo, there's nothing you can do, man. You're just going to have to play the solo without the string. Because the focus is going to be on you in a moment. But if you're in a part where you can just be like, okay, I just finished and and then the next part is in like the next verse or the next chorus, I'd look at my tech and I just say, hey, dude, and he'd bring me the spare and we do that.
So you always have a spare.
Ideally, yes, I always have a spare. With Enrique, there's spares for everything. Every guitar that I had there had a spare that was ready to go like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's that gig is, it's not rock and roll. It is a pop show. It is on time. It is, everything's this moment into that moment into that moment. There's a small break into that moment. Then you start playing this.
Like, what does it feel like? You've performed in front of like massive, massive crowds. Does it feel weird? Do you feel like you have to act a certain way, or are you happy that you're like bringing people so much joy? Like, how does it feel?
Yeah, I mean, I love performing. I'm very comfortable on stage. The biggest one I've done was 85,000 in Kiev in a stadium there. The hard thing about that was not that there were 85,000 people there, but that it was outdoors and it was 30 degrees. I couldn't feel my fingers. So imagine playing to 80,000 people where there are certain points in the show as the lead guitarist where all you hear is me. Like that's it. You're just hearing me play. And it is nerve-wracking, but you have to, you just put a smile on and you put on your best your best guitar face.
Guitar face.
And, yeah. And I don't know how much your experience with this, but I feel like, at least on the live stuff, when shit happens, you just play it off as if that's what you intended to do. No one needs to know, man.
Yeah.
No one needs to know. It's part of the show.
You can't exactly stop the show. Oh, hang on, I fucked that bit up.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same thing sometimes with all the sounds you're creating. I mean, I was watching the granular synth demo that you did, granule synth, and some of the Serato stuff. And a lot of this stuff is trial and error. And a lot of this stuff, like you'll come up with something and I'll go to you and be like, dude, how did you do that? And you're just like, dude, I just went, and put it in this thing, started playing with stuff, and it sounded good. So, yeah, I don't know that, though. You could totally be like, yeah, it's some secrets, some industry secrets I don't really feel like giving it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No one needs to know.
Yeah, look, I had to use some complicated algorithms to genetically engineer the sounds. Had to bake it in the oven, set the oven to 375. I guess, like, if you just are confident and you portray that everything you're doing is, like, as intended, then that's how it'll be perceived as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Recently I had an Instagram, like a live Instagram thing with another guitarist, and, Q&A. And one of the people asked, are you ever mad when you get on stage? Like, are you ever pissed off about something? And it's like, look, honestly, of course I've been happy when I got on stage. I've been depressed when I got on stage. I've been mad. I've been everything, because I'm just human.
Yeah,
sometimes
you're a dude.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe something happened 2 minutes ago that I'm just like, I can't believe that just happened. Here we go. But you know what? If I do my job right, no one's gonna know. I mean, you've been on stages. When you're on stage, you're an actor. You're getting everyone hyped. They don't need to know that you just broke up with your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whoever it is.
Yeah, it's part of the job, really, and it does kind of feel like you're acting sometimes. Having said that, I feel like, at least for me, anyways, when I get on stage, I try to be myself and not act like someone I'm not. But yeah, I do try to, like, turn up the, like, intensity of who I am. Like, I'm fucking me, Instead of just being like a real, like, diluted version of myself. I'm a concentrated version of myself on stage.
Yeah, you got to turn it up to 11, man. You're the entertainer.
Yeah, absolutely. Might edit this little pause out.
Sure, yeah.
So you mentioned a couple of times so far that you're from Israel. When did you move to? You're in LA now, right?
So I was born in 79 and born and raised in Israel until 2003 when I left and came here. Here being Los Angeles.
So I guess you're technically like an Israeli, or how does this?
I'm a dual citizenship. I've got an Israeli passport as well as an American passport.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm also a immigrant.
Australian and Canadian.
Yeah, I'm an immigrant. I live in Canada, but I'm originally from Australia. I don't have my 2 passports yet, but
the other interview that I saw you on, you said you were a resident, not a citizen, but a resident.
That's right, permanent resident.
Right.
Yeah,
a permanent resident. That's it.
Yeah, so I have all the same rights as a citizen, except I can't vote, unfortunately. But I wanted to ask you, what was it like growing up in Israel? Because I guess around the time when you were growing up, things were pretty hectic over there.
Yeah, man. Have you ever been?
You know what? I actually have been to Israel. I've been to Tel Aviv.
When? That's cool. What year?
I want to say it was like 2016 or something. I went over there to DJ a show in Tel Aviv.
How was it?
I mean, it was good as far as my shows go. Like, I played like this rooftop bar in this kind of what seemed to be like a artsy sort of neighborhood
area. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of bohemian kind of.
Tel Aviv. Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds about right.
Cool. And actually, one thing that I noticed about the Tel Aviv Israel community there is that they were responding to the songs that I was playing in different ways to, like, Westerners. Like,
oh, really?
The songs that I thought or the songs that I've experienced myself playing that were like hits, that like dancehall smashes, they were sort of like the more popular sort of songs.
Okay.
And those were the songs that weren't as popular in Israel. And in Israel, they were really into the super weird experimental shit that I was playing. Because I like to throw in a couple of like weird curveball songs that personally I'm into. And usually, like, the crowd is like, we're not feeling that so much, but I do it anyway because fuck it, I love that song.
It's your show. It's your show.
It's my fucking show. But the Israeli crowd, they were really stoked about the the weird, interesting experimental music. And I thought that was really interesting.
It's interesting. I mean, just in general, Israel's a very interesting country. I mean, my whole family's there. One of my brothers for a few years is with his family is in the Netherlands, but in general, my whole family's there. Three younger brothers. My parents are there, and I can't speak to that. The music, they're just into different things there. Like, I don't know what you were playing, so I don't know why they were feeling it so much more like the experimental stuff. But Tel Aviv is a party town, man. I mean, it kind of reminds me here of Miami. Have you been to Miami?
I've not been to Miami, but I kind of can see what you mean. Yeah, it does have
It's real. Yeah, it's the beachy vibe. It's real humid. Everyone just wants to party and stuff, and it's quite the place. So I was, born and raised in Jerusalem, which was I don't know, call it 45 minutes away. So it's a very different scene there. You know, it's very historic and a lot of religions. It's a very cultural place. Look, I had a really good childhood. There's really not crazy things to say other than all the terrorism. I had many. I'm not for Palestinians, against Palestinians. I'm for human beings. I don't care if they're Israelis, Palestinians, American, Canadian, Australian. It doesn't matter to me. People are people. We're just trying to make a living and take care of the people we love and live a fruitful and good life.
I think that's the right way to think about it. Yeah.
I mean, that's at least I'm not trying to sell that to anyone, but that's the way I feel. So I appreciate you're appreciating it. So much fighting over that little tiny piece of land, man. So much fighting. I haven't personally been in a terrorist attack. I think the closest for me was we were downtown in Jerusalem Friday night, and this guy, we just got out of a car. 20 feet away from us, a guy runs out of a different car, and his legs are on fire.
Oh my God.
Okay, he took off running, and soldiers and police after him. And what we found out later was that the car bomb didn't go off.
Why was his legs on fire?
He was about to blow up in the car, but something went wrong, and the car didn't blow up. But it ignited, but it didn't blow up.
Oh, so the bomb failed, and he just ended up burning himself.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
That would have been is there just, around that time, was there just car bombs going off like around the place?
Between 2000, you're probably not familiar with the Intifada. There was a first Intifada. Call it a holy war, so not a jihad, but Intifada. It's anyway. There was a first Intifada in the 90s. The second one was, I believe, 2001 to 2005 or 2004, and I was there. I was an adult, a young adult, living there at the time, dealing with people blowing up on buses every week. Back then you weren't getting stabbed, you were getting blown up. It was really scary, man. It was really scary, especially because the public transportation there is awesome. So I was on buses all the time, and it was scary. I was a sound engineer at the time, and that's how I got to work. In 2003, in June, or it may have been April. Yeah, I think April 2003. A guy went and blew up on the boardwalk in Tel Aviv. He tried to get into a bar called Mike's Place.
Right.
A lot of Americans and Israelis hang out there. And I was in Jerusalem at the time, but I was hearing this go on. Like, news goes on. I'm going down to meet friends in Jerusalem. In the meantime, 45 minutes away, this guy just blew up outside the club or outside the bar because the security guard stopped him. So the security guard died, and a few other people died. But had he gotten in, he would have killed a lot more people because of the shockwave that happened. It just destroys organs. It's just insane. So a few people died. A few people got hurt.
Suicide bomber.
Yeah.
A bomb strapped to him or something. Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah, but it was a reality back then, and I just thought to myself, as I was listening to all this unfold, I was like, I got to get out of here before some dude blows my arm off next week.
No doubt, dude.
And if you die, you die. But what about if I just get dismembered, and I never know if I maybe I just lose my fingers, and I'll never know if I could have been a guitarist in America. And I was like, that's it, man. Ready or not, I gotta go.
Sometimes I think about like how important my ears are, and if something could happen to my ears, I might not be able to listen to music ever again. That's a scary thought, but yeah,
It's reality.
So that was like really. So your motivation was you want to try to become a great musician in America, and also you want to avoid losing any of your limbs.
Yes, the thing that pushed me was the timing. So basically, 2 months later, I left. I just waited. My brother was getting married, so I waited for him to get married, and I was out. Came to LA and never looked back.
So you just kind of feel like LA sort of suits you better?
Yeah, I knew within 3-4 months, I knew that it was just more my vibe. The weather actually is very similar to Israel, so I didn't have any. It wasn't like suddenly I was like in New York freezing half the time. It was like no, it's very similar. I think we're on the same kind of the distance from the equator and whatnot. But but I like people here, man. The LA. Have you been to LA many times?
A couple times. I was down there like recently. I think it was like last year for the Ableton Loop conference in Hollywood.
Do you ever come back? Do you ever come down for NAMM?
I've never been to NAMM. I'd love to check it out. It would be amazing. It's like Comic-Con, but for nerds like us.
For musicians and producers of all sorts.
When I was down for the Ableton Loop conference, I arrived in LA like kind of on the outskirts of Hollywood. I checked into my Airbnb, and then I thought maybe I'll go down to the grocery store, grab a few bits, because I'm going to be here for like 4 days. And I'm all stoked. I'm like, this is my first time in Hollywood and shit. I walk into the grocery store. It's like 10 p.m. I'm just grinning because I'm just a happy dude and I'm in a happy situation. And I see this dude. He's kind of in the grocery store and he's looking at me. And I'm just kind of like smiling. Just kind of smile at him. And he just goes, "The fuck are you looking at, dickhead?"
Look, everywhere you're going to go, you're going to find bad pockets and good pockets. So Hollywood's got amazing pockets, like amazing specific spots that are great, and then like next place is ghetto, and then next place is great, next place is ghetto. You have that anywhere you look in LA. I'm a mountain guy. I love going out to the wilderness kind of vibe.
Yeah, nice.
So there are a lot of places here like that. I mean, you're a mountain climber, very different. I don't do that.
You don't get into rock climbing?
I have not, no.
What do you into outside of like music? Do you play video games?
Yeah, sorry to say to you and all the viewers, I don't play video games at all. I love cooking barbecue. That's basically it. You know, someone asked me this not too long ago, what are my hobbies? And I honestly don't have any hobbies.
Just music.
I'm just in music all the time, man. Like I said before, I hate to say it, but I'm living my dream and I'm good, man. I'm good. Got an amazing wife. So I work, I go on tour, I perform, I come back and I hang out with her. That's it.
Some people ask me to ask you about that video that they saw about Smash Mouth and the singer from Smash Mouth kind of losing his shit at the crowd. And you mentioned to me off camera that you can't really talk about that due to legal reasons. But I just want to say, like, honestly, if people were chucking stuff at me from the crowd, I'd probably be kind of annoyed. And, you know, like maybe doing what he did was maybe not the most professional way to handle it. It's got to be hard to put a lid on that. So, I mean, you must see all kinds of crazy shit in the crowds. Like,
I do.
Yeah, like what's the craziest thing you've seen in a mosh pit or in a crowd or something?
I mean, honestly, the scariest things is when people start fighting. Like, it happens more than you think. With Enrique, it was like right in front of me, Enrique would go down and the chicks would go mental, man, crazy, and then he would leave and I would see, because this chick is with her boyfriend and this chick is with her husband or whatever, and sometimes it would get nasty, man. I mean, because people just jump over each other and shit. Wow. Maybe this chick was holding a beer and some other chick jumped over her, and then now the guys are fighting. It gets quite intense. So I know maybe you wanted to hear, I see a lot of naked bodies, and that does happen. But quite frankly, the things that shock me, I mean, tits are tits, but but the thing that shocks me the most is when people, men and women, start fighting in front of me. I'm just like, whoa, I'm just trying to play this thing. What is security? Anyone?
Like, have you seen people like bleeding and stuff?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Like, I've seen like nasty shit happening in front of me.
Wow. So Enrique Iglesias is like, I can be your hero, babe. And like people are just beating each other up.
I haven't seen it during that song, but but yeah. I mean, I don't think it's happened that much. With Smash Mouth, it would happen for different reasons. It would just happen because some people didn't like some other people where they were standing and shit like that. Yeah. But with Enrique, more times than not, it happened because some chick wanted to be near him when he came down and jumped over another chick, and it was just, you know.
Yeah, wow.
It doesn't happen often, but when it happens, it's just like, whoa, dude, what is going on? Because I'm so not violent. That's always like.
Yeah, like I don't think I've ever been in a fight before. It's crazy to just think people would do that. But do you see like a lot of naked women and just what?
In the crowd or backstage? No.
Wow.
Look, I'm married, and I want to keep it that way. So I keep my hands to myself. Actually, something that helps me out. I don't know about. Do you drink?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I do, like, I'll have like one or two, but I really.
But you don't get fucked up.
I don't know, and I used to like maybe drink a bit more than I should have. But what about you?
Well, I don't. I've never had alcohol other than wine as a child, because you drink wine as part of Passover and part of holidays,
right?
As a Jewish kid, but I've actually never. Other than that, I've never had alcohol. There's no spiritual reason for that. I just never started. I had my reasons. I mean, I just never wanted to be the guy throwing up in the corner. You know, I was 14 hanging around with all the freaks and the hippies and the punks and down in Jerusalem, and you know, I had my mohawk and piercing all over, and so I saw some crazy shit with drugs and alcohol, and I just had zero interest in being in that kind of situation. And thankfully I was in with the group of outsiders, like all the people that are not cool. They're the freaks, you know?
Yeah.
So the greatest thing about that whole community is that they're so cool with you being whoever you are. Like they're not going to be the ones saying, "Come on, dude, be cool, drink." Like they don't care if you don't want to drink. That's fine.
Yeah.
So I never had that pressure, thankfully. So and I just never ended up drinking. The reason why I bring that up is it's a lot easier staying faithful to your wife and being good when you're sober. And like I can imagine that if I was drunk, it'd be a lot harder to deal with that stuff, with the stuff that you see sometimes.
I don't think you would be nearly as successful as you are right now if you were drunk like half the time, because
that's debatable though. That's debatable because another thing that, and you would know as a drinker, and I would know as someone that doesn't drink, drinking is a very social thing. So sometimes, and I guarantee you, I've lost gigs because I didn't want to party. I didn't want to do some coke. I didn't want to drink.
Yeah.
So I wasn't the right guy for the gig. I could play the hell out of it. I performed amazing. But when it came down to it, that band didn't necessarily want to hang out with me because they all wanted to do some blow, and they didn't want me staring at them going,
finger wagging and
yeah, like, which I never do.
Yeah.
I'm like, to each their own. You do whatever you want to do.
I mean, I feel it's the same as you. Like, I definitely feel sometimes left out, like in the festival music scene or whatever. You know, there's definitely times where I feel like I've missed out on a connection, or a networking opportunity, where I don't want to hang out at the club and do a shot with the owner, because I'm going to bed, dude. Like I'm not trying to get drunk and be all hungover on the plane.
Yeah.
And just the drugs thing as well, where you just stay up to ridiculous hours of the morning. Really, I guess just chit chatting and getting to know each other, and then making plans that, some people find their connections like that, but I can do without those connections. You know what I mean? I would rather just be who I am and be. I don't take any drugs or smoke or.
More power
drink,
to you.
I have like one beer because I like the taste, but I'm with you on that. Sober train, dude.
That's good. I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with that stuff, but just be yourself. And me, I don't cheat on my wife. I don't. And if someone else wants to cheat on their wife, I don't care. It's your life. Have fun. I can hang. You can get drunk. I'll hang with you. We can go have a blast. I'm just not going to drink, and I'm not going to do any drugs. But I can hang.
It's not good to like be judging people for their choices, and
No.
it's like absolutely up to the person. Like if they're not hurting anyone else by doing the things that they do, then they're more than within their right to do those things, I think.
And I hope they extend the same courtesy to me, whereas like, look, if he doesn't want to do those things, it's fine.
We're talking about health and stuff now, I guess.
Sure.
Do you like go to the gym? Do you work out? Like what's going on?
I go through phases when I work out a little, but truthfully, I hate working out.
Fair enough.
I know you. I mean, I've seen pictures of you. I've seen you on doing some rock climbing. I mean, that's pretty intense, man. Good for you. You got to be in some great shape for that.
It looks more intense than it probably is, but yeah.
What was the movie that just came out like half a year ago, where the dude climbed? He free climbing.
Solo.
Yes.
Alex Honnold. Yeah. Palms are sweaty, dude. That was insane. I can't believe that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Such an insane movie.
Yeah, I'm not going to be doing any of that shit, dude. Fuck that. I'm going to do dangerous things in the safest way possible.
I totally understand where you're coming from. I don't even play sports because I need these. I can't fall on my, like I can't create opportunities where falling on my hands or screwing up my leg is more of an option.
Yeah. When your whole business is just you, like there's no one that can replace you. You can't hire another staff member to come in and do your job because your business is just being you.
Right.
So yeah, you have to be careful.
You do. Absolutely.
Yeah. But I got into rock climbing because I also don't like working out. Like being in a gym, just like mindlessly lifting shit is just the most boring thing I can think of. So like rock climbing is at least like, it's social, you know, you're there with a friend and they're working the rope while you climb and then you switch. And it's pretty fun. Like you're up high. It's a bit exciting. That's why I kind of maybe you should give it a try.
I might. You never know. I'm not against it. I just haven't had the opportunity. No one's come to me and said, "Hey, man, I'm going rock climbing. Want to come?"
Maybe I'll hit you up if I'm in LA. We're going climbing on a climbing trip.
Do it. I mean, do you know any places around here?
I haven't looked into LA, but we were talking about going on a trip to Washington because there's this great little mountain range called Vantage, and there's some awesome rock formations that you can climb there. But then, you know, COVID-19 shut all that down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not the end of the world. You'll still have your opportunities. But it's that's pretty close to you, right? You said you're on the western side of Vancouver?
Yeah, I'm in Vancouver. Yeah.
Okay. We were there. I feel like we were there not too long ago. We did a show. Was it Lake Down?
Oh.
Shakedown or something like that?
Shakedown or something?
I think something like that.
That sounds familiar. Yeah. You were playing
Sublime.
Was it with Smash Mouth?
Smash Mouth. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. I think I almost got booked for that festival, but it was for this year. Did you play like the last year's one or something?
I played the last year. Yeah, it was us and Sublime and Snoop Dogg. I think was a headliner that day.
That's crazy. Yeah, I think I was maybe. They were maybe talking to my manager about booking me for like the tiny stage over here where people get their food or something. But
Whatever, money's money, bro.
yeah, for sure. I've done a few shows like that where the massive, like, huge stage is like over there, and like Steve Aoki's chucking pies, and I'm over here like playing the chill stage, and it's cool, man. Like, whatever.
I met Aoki. I don't remember where. I have a picture with him. We were somewhere when it was Enrique Iglesias, and he was DJing after us, I think.
That's so crazy.
I know. I think it was like a Middle East, like one of the Arab nations.
What's Steve Aoki like?
It was very nice. I mean, we didn't have a conversation like this, but I mean, we just went and took a picture with him. It was really nice, real chill.
One time I met Skrillex like a few years ago, and he's quite a bit shorter than I. He's like maybe up to here on me.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'9".
Me too, 5'9". Really? I saw him once in an airport. I didn't notice how short he was.
You're definitely taller than Skrillex.
Well, I'm 5'9", so apparently.
Cool, man. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I really want to thank you for jumping on a Zoom chat with me. It's been a good time just chatting to you, getting to know you. And I guess, do you have anything that you'd like to say to whoever might be watching, like some words of inspiration or just some words of advice or anything that you feel like you need to broadcast?
First of all, words of encouragement. If I can do it, anyone can. I'm seriously just some little Joe Schmo from Israel, man. If I came to LA and was able to do this, so can you. If anyone has any questions for me, if anyone wants to reach out, I'm very easy to find. I answer everyone. SeanHurwitz.com, or on Instagram. I'm now on Reddit as well as Sean Hurwitz Music. So I recently started YouTube. So if you're a beginner musician and you're learning stuff, watching Slynk do his thing, but you also want to know about the business of music, I'd recommend just get an idea of how to make money. I would say, other than watching you, they might want to hop onto my YouTube. I put out a video every Thursday. It's something I just started. So what it's really like being a musician, being a full-time musician. I have another one with 5 things I wish I knew. That one's actually very helpful. 5 things I wish I knew before I started.
Cool.
I talk about endorsements. As I was saying, there's something about it's your first time on a tour bus. What do you need to know? I talk about touring and the masterclasses that I'm going to do soon. The plan is a masterclass, because so many people have been asking, a masterclass for getting into the world of licensing and sync, whereas TV for movies and film and whatnot. And I'm also going to do one, I think, on negotiating, because I feel like these are certain things you sort of need to know, unless you have a manager handling it for you. But a lot of us musicians don't have a manager, and you have to negotiate with Smash Mouth. You have to negotiate with Enrique. You have to negotiate with the dude that wants to pay you $50 to record guitars for him, and you're just
There'll be lots of exposure though.
yeah, exactly. No, don't worry. We'll give you 20% of the writing.
Can you pay rent with exposure?
Yeah. Apparently, people think so. So negotiating as well as other things. But you know what? I'd love to hear if anyone is listening to this and has listened so far and wants to reach out and has some ideas of what they would want to hear. I'm totally open. I want to hear what you guys want to know. I have a lot to talk about, so happy to share it.
Awesome. That's really sweet of you to just try to help the community out and extend your hand to give people a leg up and stuff.
Appreciate
That's awesome.
it.
Yeah, I'll definitely be throwing a link in the description for your YouTube channel. And I'm excited to see all the new stuff you've got coming out.
Yeah, man. Hopefully some of that stuff will include you in it.
Yeah, cool.
We'll see what we can do. Thanks for having me, brother.
Yeah,
Appreciate
absolutely. It's been a good time. Peace.
Yeah, I love the movies. I mean, when I got the call in 2011 to play in the Shrek band, I was like, whoa. Like, did he just say the Shrek Band? But yeah, to some people, that's all. To some people, we're the Shrek Band because that's how they know it.